I stared at the doorway for a full 3 seconds, making sure my eyes weren't playing tricks on me. My 4-year-old daughter, Chloe, was standing in our entryway, holding hands with a total stranger. The woman looked to be in her early 30s, dressed in a simple cream-colored knit sweater and jeans. In her other hand, she held a thermal lunch bag with cartoon characters on it. Chloe tilted her head back, her voice bright and clear. "Daddy, this is Annie's mom." The woman offered a slightly nervous smile. Sada. Annie and Chloe are in the same preschool class. It took me a moment to process. "Oh, right. Please come in." I stepped aside. "Chloe, sweetie, why did you bring your friend's mom home?" "Annie's mom makes the best cookies," Chloe announced, already pulling a pair of guest slippers from the shoe rack with practiced ease. "Annie was out sick today, so I invited her mom to come play at our house." Sarah slipped on the slippers and placed the bag on the console table. "I'm so sorry to drop in like this. Chloe was just so insistent, said she wanted me to try her dad's coffee. I'm a software engineer, and since I work from home, making a decent cup of coffee is one of the few domestic skills I've actually managed to master." I ran a hand through my hair, feeling a flush of embarrassment. "Right. Well, please have a seat. I'll go put on a pot." In the kitchen, as I fiddled with the espresso machine, I watched them through the glass door. Chloe was enthusiastically showing Sarah her collection of stuffed animals, and Sarah was crouched on the floor, listening intently to my daughter's happy chatter. There was something strange and wonderful about the scene. I've been raising Chloe on my own for 2 years now. My ex-wife left for a career opportunity overseas, and the divorce was quick and clean. Other than the child support payments that hit my account like clockwork, we barely speak. It's not that I haven't thought about dating again, but between a demanding job and a 4-year-old, it's always felt impossible. When the coffee was ready, I brought out on a tray. Sarah took the mug I offered, took a small sip, and her eyes lit up. "This is really good. Is it a Yurgachev? You know your coffee?" I asked, surprised. "I used to own a coffee shop," she said with a small smile. "Sold a while back. I have a flower shop now." Chloe chimed in. "Annie's mom's flower shop is so pretty. Daddy, we have to go next time." Before I could answer, Sarah replied, "You're welcome anytime." Chloe stops by a lot on her way home. She's a great little helper. We chatted for a while about the kids. It turned out Sarah was a single mom, too. Her daughter, Annie, was just 3 months older than Chloe. She ran a small flower shop near the preschool, juggling the business and her daughter all on her own. "Chloe mentioned you wanted to try my cookies," Sarah said, opening the thermal bag and taking out a beautiful tin box. "I baked some almond shortbread this morning and brought a few over." Chloe was already grabbing one, her eyes closing in bliss as she took a bite. I tried one myself. She wasn't kidding. They were incredible, perfectly crisp, with just the right amount of sweetness. "You're an amazing baker," I said, and I meant it. "It's just a hobby." She glanced at the clock on the wall. "Oh wow, it's getting late. I should go pick up Annie." Chloe tugged on her sleeve. "Will you come back again?" Sarah gently stroked her hair. "Of course. And you can always come visit me and Annie at the shop." After I saw Sarah out, I closed the door and turned to my daughter. "All right, Chloe. Fess up. You did that on purpose, didn't you?" She blinked her big brown eyes at me. "Did what on purpose?" "Bringing Annie's mom home." "But Annie's mom is really nice," she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "And you're always working, Daddy. You don't know any of the other kids' parents." She had me there. I was a ghost in the class parent group on Facebook, and my pickups and drop-offs were always a blur. I rarely spoke to anyone. Besides, Chloe added, "Annie's mom is a really good cook. I went to her shop once, and she made me spaghetti. It was way better than yours." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Are you saying you don't like my cooking?" She threw her arms around my leg. "You make the best coffee, Daddy. Your cooking is." Okay. Coming from my daughter, that was high praise. The next afternoon, I ran into Sarah at preschool pickup. She was holding Annie's hand, talking to another parent. She saw me and gave me a warm nod. "Thanks again for the cookies yesterday," I said, walking over. "They were a huge hit." "Anytime." She leaned down to her daughter. "Annie, say hi to Chloe's dad." Annie was a shy little girl. She mumbled a quiet hello, and then hid behind her mom's legs. Chloe, on the other hand, was a ball of energy. "Annie, let's build with blocks tomorrow." The two girls started whispering to each other. Sarah and I walked toward the parking lot together, and I found myself grasping for something to say. So, where is your flower shop? Just down the street on the corner. She pointed. It's called Sarah's Blooms. That's a nice name. Thanks. She paused for a moment. Actually, Chloe told me something yesterday. My stomach tightened. Oh, what was that? She said you eat a lot of takeout and that it's not good for you. Sarah's smile was kind. She's a very caring little girl. I felt a little embarrassed. Work's been crazy, and I'm not exactly a chef. Well, if you don't mind, I was thinking I could teach Chloe a few simple recipes, Sarah offered. She seemed really interested. Said she wanted to learn how to cook for her daddy. I just stood there stunned. My ex-wife never cooked. Since the divorce, Chloe and I had been subsisting on a rotating menu of simple, often uninspired meals. I never imagined my 4-year-old was already worrying about it. That would be asking way too much of you, I said. It's no trouble at all, she insisted, her voice gentle. I'm teaching Annie too. It's good for them to learn some life skills. If you're free on the weekend, you could bring Chloe by the shop. There's a small kitchen in the back. I thought about it for a second, then agreed. That Saturday afternoon, I took Chloe to Sarah's Blooms. The shop was small but incredibly charming, filled with the scent of fresh flowers. Sure enough, there was a little kitchen in the back, fully equipped. Annie and Chloe tied on tiny aprons and, under Sarah's patient guidance, learned how to make grilled cheese and tomato soup. I sat off to the side, just watching the three of them. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the scene. Sarah's voice was soft as she corrected the way they held the spatula. A strange warmth spread through me, a feeling I hadn't realized I was missing. Daddy, look. Chloe held up a plate with a surprisingly perfect-looking grilled cheese sandwich on it. I made this. I took a bite. It was actually delicious. This is amazing, I said, giving her a thumbs up. Sarah smiled. Chloe's a fast learner. We ended up staying for dinner. Sarah made a proper home-cooked meal. Roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, and green beans. Chloe ate more than I'd ever seen her eat at home. After dinner, I helped with the dishes while Sarah read a picture book to the girls. I really feel like we imposed on you today, I said, drying a plate. Sarah shook her head. Not at all. I was happy to have you. Annie is so quiet. She doesn't have many friends. Chloe is so bright and outgoing. She's really brought Annie out of her shell. As she spoke, she glanced lovingly at the two girls huddled together over the book. Then I remembered something. Oh, hey, I need to pay you back. For what? For the cookies and for dinner tonight, I said seriously. I can't just let you feed us for free. Sarah laughed. The cookies were a gift, and tonight's dinner was nothing. If you really want to thank me, you could just bring some of that great coffee over next time. Deal, I said. As we were leaving, Chloe clung to Sarah. Can I come back next week? Anytime, sweetie. On the way home, Chloe sat in her car seat, humming a song from preschool. Daddy, she asked suddenly, do you like Annie's mom? I nearly choked. Why do you ask that? Because she's really nice, Chloe said, as if it was obvious. She makes yummy food, and she tells good stories, and she's really gentle. Didn't you say you wanted to find someone gentle? I was silent for a moment. I'd said that, on a call with an old college buddy, talking about the idea of getting remarried. I'd said offhandedly, I just want someone kind and gentle who'd be good to Chloe. I never thought she'd been listening. Daddy, can we go to the flower shop a lot? Chloe asked again. We can, but we can't bother her too much. We won't. I can help water the plants and sweep the floor, she said excitedly. I glanced in the rearview mirror at my daughter's sparkling eyes, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. She was so perceptive it broke my heart a little. That night, as I was tucking her in, she wrapped her arms around my neck and whispered, Daddy, today was the best day ever. Why's that? Because I had a friend and yummy food and... She paused, thinking, and someone who was like a mom. A pang went through my chest. Chloe rarely mentioned the word mom after my ex left. I thought that, being so young, she didn't really notice the absence. I see now she noticed everything. She just didn't talk about it. Go to sleep, I whispered, kissing her forehead. She closed her eyes and was out in minutes. I went back to the living room and opened my laptop, but I couldn't focus on work. I kept thinking about the way Sarah talked, her patience as she taught the girls to cook, the vibrant life inside her little shop. It had been 2 years. For the first time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, things could be different. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Sarah. The girls had so much fun today. Chloe left one of her books here. You can grab it next time? I typed back, "Sure thing. Thanks." I hesitated, then added, "I'll bring over some good coffee beans next week." Her reply came back almost instantly, "Looking forward to it." Those four simple words made me smile. Outside, the night grew darker, but my world felt a little brighter. Maybe my daughter's impulsive invitation wasn't such a bad thing after all. The following Wednesday afternoon, the preschool held a parent-child activity day. I rearranged my work schedule and showed up on time. As soon as I walked in, I saw Sarah in a corner, helping Annie organize craft supplies. "Chloe's dad is here," one of the other parents said. I nodded and made my way over to my daughter. Chloe was folding a boat out of construction paper. She held it up proudly. "Look, Daddy." "That's great, sweetie," I said, ruffling her hair. The activity was making a family tree. Each family got a big tree-shaped piece of poster board to paste photos onto. Chloe pulled out a few pictures from her backpack. One of me, one of herself, and one of her grandparents. "Where's your mommy's picture?" a little boy at the next table asked. Chloe froze, her voice suddenly small. "My mommy is far away." My heart clenched. I was about to say something, but Sarah walked over with Annie. "Chloe, Annie was hoping you could teach her how to make one of those boats. She's having a little trouble." Chloe's attention was immediately diverted. Okay, the two girls got busy, the awkward moment forgotten. Sarah said to me quietly, "Kids can be blunt. Don't let it get to you." "Thank you," I said, genuinely grateful. Halfway through the event, the teacher suggested we all get to know each other. I realized that most of the families had both parents present. Single parents like Sarah and me were in the minority. "So what do you do, Chloe's dad?" one mom asked. "I'm a software engineer." "Wow, you must be busy. Is it hard raising a kid on your own?" I just smiled. "You get used to it." "I know Sarah runs that lovely flower shop," another parent chimed in. "I buy flowers from you all the time." "It must be tough, running a business and a household by yourself." Sarah's response was gentle. "It's not so bad. The hours are flexible, so I can always be there for Annie." After the event, I offered to give Sarah and Annie a ride home, or rather, to the flower shop. "Are you sure it's not out of your way?" she asked. "It's on the way," I lied. It wasn't, not really, but it felt like the right thing to do. In the car, the girls shared snacks in the back seat, chattering away. Sarah looked out the window. "You know, sometimes I'm a little envious of you," she said suddenly. "Envious of me?" I was confused. "You have a stable career, a good income. It's hard raising a kid alone, but at least you don't have to worry about money." She turned to look at me. "Running a flower shop sounds romantic, but the income is all over the place. Some months are great, and some months I'll go days without a customer." I hadn't expected her to be so candid. "But you're doing something you love." "Yeah," she smiled. "That's the one thing. And I have the flexibility to be with Annie. If I had a 9-to-5 job, just managing pickups and drop-offs would be a nightmare." When we got to the shop, I helped her carry her things inside. "Come in for a minute," she offered. "I just got a new batch of coffee beans you might like." I didn't refuse. The back of the shop was a small, cozy living space. As Sarah made the coffee, I noticed the photos on the wall. Mostly pictures of Annie, a few of the flower shop, but not a single one of an adult man. "What about Annie's dad?" The words were out of my mouth before I could stop them. "Sorry, I shouldn't have asked." Sarah didn't seem to mind. "It's okay. We split up when she was 1. He has a new family now, barely sees her." She said it calmly, but I could hear the years of struggle behind the words. "What about you?" she asked. "Chloe's mom." "She's overseas," I said curtly. She felt like family was holding back her career. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the small room. We sat on her little sofa, a comfortable silence settling between us. Outside, we could hear the girls laughing among the flowers. "You know," Sarah said, breaking the silence, "single parents should really have a network. Help each other out, like taking turns with school pickup or watching the kids if someone has an emergency." I nodded. "That's a great idea. Sometimes I have a late meeting and I have to ask my elderly neighbor to get Chloe." "Well, if you ever need help, I can always get her," Sarah said. "Annie and Chloe are in the same class. Picking up 2 isn't any harder than picking up 1. "Thank you. That would be amazing." I thought for a second. "In return, I could help you out at the shop on a weekend or fix your computer. I bet a flower shop needs some kind of management software, right?" Sarah's eyes lit up. "Are you serious? The inventory software I have is a total nightmare." And just like that, we had an unofficial mutual support agreement. Sure enough, that Friday afternoon, I got pulled into a last-minute meeting that was going to run late. I texted Sarah, and she replied almost immediately, "Don't worry, I've got them both." The meeting dragged on until 6. When I rushed to the flower shop, I found Chloe and Annie sitting at a small table, eating fruit salad, while Sarah put the finishing touches on a bouquet. "Daddy," Chloe ran over. "Aunt Sarah taught us how to make fruit salad." "Thanks so much for this," I said to Sarah. "It was no problem." She handed the finished bouquet to a waiting customer. After they left, she turned back to me. "So about that inventory software." I glanced at the clock. "Is now a good time? I could take a look." Sarah flipped the sign on the door to closed. I sat down at her computer and saw she was using a basic program that was completely wrong for a retail business. "Let me recommend something better," I said, navigating to a new website. "This one is designed for small retail. It manages inventory, customer loyalty programs, online orders." I caught myself, realizing it was probably getting too technical. But when I looked over, Sarah was listening intently. "You really know this stuff," she said. "It's part of my job. I've worked with software for all kinds of industries," I explained. "Let me install a trial version for you to test out." By the time I had a new system set up, it was almost 7:30. "Let me take you out to dinner," I offered, "to thank you for today and for all the cookies and dinners before." Sarah hesitated. "The girls are probably hungry. Why don't I just whip something up?" In the end, we didn't go out. Sarah made a simple but delicious fried rice and vegetable soup with ingredients she had on hand. During dinner, Chloe made an announcement. "Daddy, I want to take dance lessons with Annie." "Dance lessons?" "Yeah, there's a studio next to the preschool. Lots of kids go," she said, her eyes shining. "Annie's mom said she can take us." I looked at Sarah. "Really? Annie wants to try ballet, and they have a class that works," Sarah explained. "If Chloe's interested, they could go together. I could drop them off on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The class is an hour, so you could just pick them up after work." I did the math. I could usually get away by 6 on those days. It would work. "Okay, then," I said, unable to resist my daughter's hopeful gaze. Chloe cheered, and even shy little Annie broke into a smile. And so, Sarah and I started seeing more and more of each other. School pickups, preschool events, occasional dinners at the flower shop. Our two little families started to blend together, and our daughters became inseparable. On Saturday morning, I brought Chloe to the shop to make good on my promise. I was going to watch the store so Sarah could run some errands. "I'm meeting with a supplier. I should only be a couple of hours," she explained, handing me a price list and a notebook. "Just write down any phone orders in here." "You got it," I said, giving her a mock salute. Mission accepted. After she left, I sat behind the counter, feeling surprisingly nervous. My daily life was code and servers, not customers and carnations. The first customer was an elderly gentleman buying a bouquet for his wife. "It's our 45th anniversary," he told me with a grin. Following a cheat sheet Sarah had left me, I suggested a mix of roses and lilies. He was delighted and even left a generous tip. The next customer was a young woman looking for a potted plant. I knew nothing about plants, but thankfully, each one had a little care instruction card. I read it to her verbatim, and she happily made her purchase. Chloe and Annie were in the corner, supposedly doing homework, but mostly just drawing. They were quiet, whispering to each other now and then. Watching them, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't felt in a long time. These past couple of months, since Sarah had stumbled into our lives, everything had changed. My house smelled like fresh-baked cookies, my weekends had a purpose, and my daughter's smile was brighter than ever. I even found myself looking forward to the Tuesday and Thursday dance class pickups, just for the chance to chat with Sarah for a few minutes. She knew about coffee and flowers. She spoke in a calm, gentle rhythm, and she always had a kind smile. When Sarah returned, she found me fumbling my way through wrapping a bouquet for a waiting customer. "Here, let me," she said, taking over. With a few expert folds, the flowers were beautifully wrapped. After the customer left, she turned to me. "Thanks so much. No disasters, I hope." "All clear," I said, pointing to the ledger. "Sold 4 bouquets, 3 potted plants, and took 1 phone order." She glanced at the book and smiled. "You sold more than I usually do. Daddy's the best." Chloe ran over. A grandpa said Daddy's flower wrapping was beautiful. I scratched my head, embarrassed. It was a mess. He was just being nice. Sarah laughed. "Well, you get an A for effort." For lunch, we went to a little cafe nearby. While we waited for our food, Sarah told me about her meeting. He wanted to raise his prices, but I found another supplier who's cheaper, she said, a little note of pride in her voice. That's how you have to run a business. Always shop around. Watching her, animated and confident, I realized she was far more capable than I'd even imagined. A single mom, running a business, raising a great kid, and making it all work. You're really incredible, I said. She paused, then smiled. It's not incredible. It's just survival. No, I mean it, I said seriously. A lot of people in your situation might have just given up or relied on someone else. But you're doing it all on your own, and you're raising Annie so well. She took a sip of water. When she looked up again, her eyes were shining. Thank you, she said softly. It was a wonderful lunch. The kids played in the restaurant play area while the two of us just talked. I told her about my job, and she shared funny stories about the flower shop. We discovered we had a lot in common. We both loved to read, we both had a soft spot for old movies, and we both agreed that kids should spend more time outdoors. After lunch, I drove them back to the shop. As they were getting out of the car, Sarah hesitated. Next Wednesday is Annie's birthday, she said. I'm throwing a little party for her at the shop. Chloe would be more than welcome to come, if you guys are free. We'll be there, I said instantly. On the ride home, Chloe was already planning Annie's present. Daddy, let's get her a music box. She loves music. Great idea. After a moment of silence, Chloe asked, Daddy, what do you think of Annie's mom? This time, I didn't dodge the question. She's a very good person. Do you like her? I thought about it and answered honestly, yes. Ido. It wasn't a romantic feeling, not yet. It was admiration, respect, a deep sense of comfort and ease whenever I was around her. But what the future held, I had no idea. Chloe seemed satisfied with my answer. I like her too. She's warm, like the sun. I smiled. My daughter's analogy was perfect. Sarah really was like sunshine on a cold day. Not scorching, but gentle and warm, chasing away the chill. I thought of my ex-wife. We'd had good times, but she was like a fire, passionate, but you could get burned if you got too close. She wanted a big career, the whole world, not a quiet life centered around family. When we divorced, she told me, Ethan, you're a good man, but we want different things. She was right. All I ever wanted were simple, ordinary days. Someone waiting at home, a happy, healthy kid. Maybe that's what Sarah wanted too. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Almost forgot. The party is at 6. And please, no gifts. Just bring yourselves. I replied, got it. But we're still bringing a gift. I paused, then added, thanks for inviting us. A smiley face emoji popped up in response. I looked at the simple icon and couldn't help but smile back. Sometimes, life takes a turn, and you end up somewhere beautiful and unexpected. And my daughter, it turned out, was the one holding the map. 3 days before Annie's birthday, I took Chloe to pick out a gift. After an hour of serious deliberation at the mall, we settled on an intricate carousel music box. Chloe insisted on wrapping it herself, picking out the paper and ribbon. Daddy, can you help me with the bow? She asked, fumbling with the silk ribbon. I knelt down to help, and between the two of us, we managed to produce a reasonably presentable package. Do you think Annie will like it? Chloe asked, her brow furrowed with worry. She'll love it, I said, stroking her hair. You picked it out with so much care. On Wednesday, I left work early and went home to change into something a little nicer than my usual work-from-home attire. Chloe put on her favorite dress and clutched the gift protectively. The flower shop was decorated with a happy birthday banner and colorful streamers. A few small tables were set up with snacks and drinks. There were 3 other kids there, all friends of Annie's from preschool. You made it, Sarah said. She was wearing a light blue dress, her hair pinned up loosely. Annie's just getting changed upstairs. She'll be down in a minute. She led me over to a middle-aged woman. This is my mom. Mom, this is Ethan, Chloe's dad. Sarah's mom was warm and friendly, looking me over with a kind smile. Sarah's told me so much about you. Thank you for everything you've done to help them. Honestly, Sarah's the one who's been helping us, I said. Just then, Annie came downstairs. She was wearing a little white party dress and a birthday crown, looking like a tiny princess. Chloe immediately ran over and handed her the gift. Happy birthday. Annie took the present, her eyes shining as she whispered, Thank you. The party was simple. The kids ate cake and played games while the adults chatted. Sarah's mom was very talkative and asked me a lot about myself. That girl of mine has had it rough, she said, lowering her voice. Her ex was no good. Left her with nothing when they split, not even a house. She had to start over from scratch with a baby. It was hard. I listened quietly. I gave her my retirement savings to start the shop, she continued. Thank goodness she's made a success of it. But she's always carrying everything on her own shoulders. It breaks my heart. I glanced over at Sarah, who was in the middle of a game with the kids. She was laughing, and I could see the fine lines around her eyes, etched there by time and worry. Mom, what are you talking about? Sarah came over and handed me a glass of juice. Just telling the truth, her mom said, patting her hand. Ethan's not a stranger. Not a stranger. The phrase stuck with me. Halfway through the party, a delivery guy came in with a massive bouquet of red roses. For Ms. Sarah, he announced. Sarah's expression changed as she took the flowers. She glanced at the card tucked inside and quickly set the bouquet aside. Who sent them? Her mom asked. No one, Sarah said flatly. Probably a mistake. But I noticed she was distracted after that. She almost cut her hand while slicing the cake. I had to grab her wrist to stop her. After the party, as the other families left, I offered to stay and help clean up. You should get Chloe home, Sarah said. You've done enough for one day. Many hands make light work, I insisted. Chloe and Annie went upstairs to play with Annie's new toys while we cleaned. Sarah's mom went home, leaving just the two of us. Those flowers. I started, then hesitated. But I had to ask. Sarah stopped wiping the table and sighed. They were from Annie's dad. I froze. He remembered it was her birthday, she said, her voice quiet but her grip on the rag tightening. He barely contacts us. Last year, not even a phone call. This year, for some reason, he sends flowers. Does he want to see her? Probably. She tossed a rag into a bucket of water. But I won't let him. Not after he chose that woman over his own daughter. He didn't even fight for custody. It's too late to show up now. It was the first time I'd ever heard her speak with such a cold edge in her voice. The usual warmth was gone, replaced by something sharp and protective. Sorry, I said. I shouldn't have pride. No, I'm the one who should be sorry. I shouldn't be dumping my mood on you. It's just, seeing those flowers brought it all back. Annie was only a year old when he packed his bags in the middle of the night and said he'd found his soulmate. She paused. You want to know the craziest part? His soulmate dumped him 6 months later. But he didn't come back. He didn't even come to see Annie. I didn't know what to say, so I just listened. It took me a long time to understand, she said with a bitter laugh. He didn't leave because of someone else. He left because that's the kind of person he is. No sense of responsibility. Only loves himself. I should have seen it sooner. The sound of the girls laughing upstairs broke the heavy silence. Sarah took a deep breath, composing herself. I am sorry. I've probably ruined your evening. Not at all, I said. It helps to talk about it. We finished cleaning in silence. After a few minutes, I asked, do you hate him? She thought for a moment. I used to. Not anymore. Hating someone is exhausting, and I don't have the energy for it. I just feel sad for Annie. She deserves a better father. She looked at me. You're a good dad. I can see it. Chloe is a lucky girl. Her words warmed me from the inside out. When everything was clean, the girls were starting to get sleepy. I picked up a yawning Chloe, ready to head home. Thank you for today, Sarah said at the door. Really? We should be thanking you, I said, meeting her eyes. We had a great time. She smiled, a little tired but still warm. On the way home, with Chloe asleep in her car seat, Sarah's words echoed in my mind. Everyone has their scars. Behind her gentle exterior, Sarah had weathered her own private storms. The next day, when I dropped Chloe off at preschool, I saw Sarah. She looked like her usual self, greeting me with a smile as if last night's vulnerability had never happened. Annie loved your gift, she said. The music box is on her nightstand. Chloe loves the bracelet Annie gave her, I replied. Those two are thick as thieves. They are. Sarah paused, then lowered her voice. Thanks for last night. I've never told anyone all of that. Your secret's safe with me, I said seriously. She smiled. I know. It was a short exchange, but I spent the rest of the day thinking about her. I couldn't shake the image of her from last night. So strong and yet so fragile. After work, I didn't go straight home. I took a detour to the flower shop. Sarah was helping a customer when I walked in, and she looked surprised to see me. After the customer left, I said, I was just passing by. Thought I'd buy some flowers. For anyone special? She asked. Just for the house. I looked around. What do you recommend? She chose a few sunflowers and some small white daisies, wrapping them simply with some greenery. Sunflowers for happiness, daisies for innocence, she explained as she worked. A good combination for home. I paid but didn't leave right away. Something else? She asked. I was thinking, I said, choosing my words carefully. If you're not busy this weekend, maybe I could take you and the girls out to the country. I heard about a U-pick farm with strawberries. The kids would love it. Her face brightened. Really? Annie has been begging to go strawberry picking. Then it's a date. I'll pick you guys up Saturday morning. Okay, she said, her smile genuine and relaxed this time. Thank you, Ethan. It was the first time she'd used my first name. My heart did a little flip. Anytime, I said. I left the shop holding the bouquet, my step a little lighter. The sun felt warm on my shoulders. I finally understood why I'd taken that detour. It wasn't about the flowers. It was about seeing her, making sure she was okay. That was all. Saturday was a perfect day. I was driving with Sarah in the passenger seat and the two girls chattering in the back, on our way to the strawberry farm on the outskirts of the city. The car was filled with laughter. Chloe and Annie sang their preschool songs, adorably off-key. Sarah would occasionally correct a word or two, laughing along with them. The farm was huge, with a petting zoo and a playground in addition to the strawberry fields. The girls shot out of the car like uncaged birds, running wild with excitement. While picking strawberries, Chloe was a woman on a mission, hunting for only the biggest, reddest berries. Annie was more careful, gently plucking them from the vine as if she were afraid of bruising them. Look at them, Sarah said to me. Completely different personalities, but they get along so well. They complement each other. I picked a perfectly ripe berry and handed it to her. Try this. She took it and bit into it. So sweet. The sun lit up her face, making her cheeks glow and her eyes curve into crescents. For a second, I couldn't look away. Daddy, look at my basket. Chloe came running over, breaking the spell. I snapped back to reality. Wow, that's amazing, sweetie. We had lunch at the farm's little cafe. As soon as the girls were done eating, they ran off to the playground, leaving us to sip our drinks in peace. This was such a good day, Sarah said. Annie hasn't laughed this much in a long time. Chloe, too, I said, watching my daughter tear down the slide. She used to be so shy. She's really opened up. Thanks to Annie. And to you. It goes both ways, Sarah said softly. Chloe has helped Annie be more outgoing. We talked about raising kids, about our plans for the future. Sarah wanted to expand the shop, maybe start selling online. I was thinking about finding a house closer to the preschool. Oh, Sarah said suddenly. Did you know the preschool is having a field day next month? Chloe mentioned it. I grimaced. There's a three-legged race for dads and their kids. I'm not exactly coordinated. I'm worried I'll embarrass her. I'm pretty athletic, Sarah said with a grin. There's a mother-daughter event I signed up for. We could practice together if you want. My eyes lit up. Yeah. And so, on a grassy field at a strawberry farm, we became a strange sight. Two adults, legs tied together, clumsily practicing for a three-legged race. The girls cheered us on from the sidelines, their laughter carrying on the breeze. At first, we kept tripping over each other, but we slowly found a rhythm. 1, 2, 1, 2. I called out. Sarah matched my pace, our hands clasped tightly. Her hand was soft and a little cool against mine, which was already starting to sweat. Hey, we're not half bad, she said, laughing after we completed a full lap without falling. I released her hand, a little reluctantly. Yeah, not bad at all. On the drive home, the girls fell asleep in the back. The car was quiet except for the soft music from the radio. Thank you for today, Sarah said, looking at the scenery flying by. I really had a wonderful time. Me too, I said. After a moment of silence, she said quietly, Ethan, I just wanted to say, I'm really glad I met you. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. I'm glad I met you too, I replied. No more words were needed. Something between us was quietly shifting. The sun was setting as we drove back into the city. The girl's breathing was even and soft, and the basket of strawberries in the back seat filled the car with a sweet scent. I glanced at Sarah in the rearview mirror. She'd fallen asleep, her head resting against the window, her face peaceful. In that moment, everything felt right. If I could freeze time, I thought this wouldn't be a bad moment to choose. But time doesn't stop. Life keeps going. Our story was just beginning. Neither of us knew what lay ahead. But for now, in this quiet car, we had this moment of peace and warmth. And that was enough. The week before the preschool field day, Sarah and I met at the school playground every evening to practice our three-legged race. The first day was a complete disaster. I'd step with my left foot, she'd step with her right, and we'd nearly end up in a heap on the ground. "This is not working," I said, out of breath. "We need to call it out." Sarah couldn't stop laughing. "You were calling it out." "Okay, louder then." I retied the rope around our ankles. "Ready? Left, right, left, right." This time was better. We made it halfway across the playground. Chloe and Annie sat on a nearby bench, eating ice cream and acting as our official cheerleaders. "Go, Daddy, go. Go, Aunt Sarah." After 3 days of practice, we finally found our rhythm. By the end of the week, we could jog the entire length of the field. We high-fived after our last practice run, grinning like a couple of kids. "I think we're ready for the big day," Sarah said, wiping sweat from her brow. I handed her a bottle of water. "You really are athletic." "I was on the track team in college," she said with a wink. Surprised? I was actually. It was hard to picture the gentle, soft-spoken woman next to me as a competitive runner. "People have many sides," she said, reading my expression. "Just like you. You seem like a typical tech guy, but you make amazing coffee and you're patient enough to do crafts with your daughter." "Is that a compliment?" "Of course it is." After practice, we sat on the bench to rest. The girls were on the swings, and the setting sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink. "Ethan," Sarah said suddenly, "I need to talk to you about something." "What's up?" "My mom is going back to her hometown for a while next week, for about a month." She looked down at her hands. "She usually helps me with Annie and watches the shop sometimes. With her gone, I'm going to be stretched pretty thin." I knew where this was going. "Do you need my help?" "If you wouldn't mind," she said, a little sheepishly. "Could you maybe pick up the girls on Tuesdays and Thursdays? I can drop them at dance class, but you could get them afterward. And maybe if I get swamped on a weekend, Annie could hang out at your place for a little while." "Of course," I said without hesitation. Chloe would be thrilled to have Annie over all the time. Sarah let out a breath of relief. "Thank you so much. In return, I can take care of dinner for you guys. It's not much harder to cook for 3 than it is for 1. "I feel like I'm getting the better end of that deal." I laughed. "It's called teamwork," she said, smiling back. And so, the next week, our lives became even more intertwined. On Tuesday, I arrived at the dance studio right on time. Chloe and Annie came running out, their faces flushed, still in their little leotards. "Daddy, I learned how to do a pirouette today," Chloe announced, demonstrating with a wobbly spin. Annie added quietly. She did 3 in a row and didn't even fall down. "That's my girls," I said, ruffling their hair. "Come on, let's go get your mom and head home." Sarah had already closed up and was waiting for us. When we walked in, she held up a thermal bag. "Dinner's ready. Just needs to be heated up. Why don't you come eat with us?" I suggested. "No point in you eating alone." She thought about it for a second, then agreed. That night, the 4 of us sat around my dining table, eating the delicious barbecue ribs and sautéed vegetables Sarah had made. Afterward, the kids watched cartoons while we did the dishes. "Your place is so neat," Sarah commented as she dried a plate. "I kind of expected a single dad's house to be. Messier. I have a cleaning lady who comes twice a week," I confessed. "I'm terrible at cleaning." "There's nothing wrong with that. Admitting what you're not good at is a strength," she said, putting the plate away. "A lot of people just pretend." After the dishes were done, we sat on the couch and watched TV with the girls for a bit. At 9, Sarah stood up to leave. "I'll walk you," I said. "You don't have to. It's only a few blocks." "It's dark," I insisted. I walked her back to the flower shop, where she lived in the apartment upstairs. It was a short, 10-minute walk, and we filled it with easy conversation about the kids, our jobs, the latest movie we'd seen. When we reached her door, she turned to me. "Thanks, Ethan." In the dim light of the street lamp, her eyes sparkled. "Anytime," I said. "See you tomorrow." "See you tomorrow." I watched her go inside and waited until the light in her upstairs window turned on before I started walking home. I walked slowly, a strange, warm feeling spreading through my chest. For the next 2 weeks, we saw each other almost every day. Sarah would bring dinner, and we'd eat either at my place or hers. The girls were becoming more like sisters every day, and we were becoming something more than friends. I found myself looking forward to the end of the workday, looking forward to the sound of their laughter filling my house. It was no longer just me and Chloe. My quiet home was now filled with life. On Friday night, Sarah was cooking at my place when she got a call. She glanced at the caller ID, and her face tightened. She stepped out onto the balcony to take it. I kept chopping vegetables, but I could faintly hear her voice, strained and agitated. A few minutes later, she came back inside, her eyes red. "What's wrong?" I asked, putting down the knife. "It was Annie's dad," she said, taking a deep breath. "He wants to see her, and he wants to talk about custody." My stomach dropped. "He's fighting you for custody?" "He said he's stable now, and wants Annie to come live with him." Her voice trembled. "How could he? He hasn't seen his daughter in 3 years, and now he wants to take her." "Legally, he has visitation rights," I said, trying to think logically. "But changing a custody agreement isn't easy. He'd have to prove you're an unfit parent, and after abandoning her for 3 years, no judge would take his side." Sarah shook her head. "I'm not worried about the law. I'm worried about Annie. She's just started to come out of her shell. If he shows up now and then disappears again, it'll crush her." Just then, the girls came running out of the bedroom. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Annie asked. Sarah immediately forced a smile. "Nothing, sweetie. Just got something in my eye." Chloe ran to get a tissue. "Let me blow on it, Aunt Sarah." Sarah tried to act normal through dinner, but I could see the worry weighing on her. After the kids went to play, we sat in the living room. "What are you going to do?" I asked. "I don't know," she said, hugging a throw pillow. "He said he's coming to the shop on Saturday to see her. I can't say no. He has the right to see her. Do you want me to be there?" She looked up at me, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Could you? I'm scared I won't be able to handle it alone." "Of course," I said. "We're friends. That's what we do." On Saturday morning, I brought Chloe to the shop early. Sarah had tidied up, but she was visibly on edge. Annie didn't know her father was coming. She was sitting on the floor with Chloe, working on a puzzle. At 10 o'clock sharp, a man in a tailored suit pushed open the door. He was holding a brightly wrapped toy. "Sarah," he said, his eyes finding her, then shifting to Annie. "Annie, do you remember me? It's Daddy." Annie shrank behind her mother, shaking her head. The man looked awkward. "I'm your dad. Look, I brought you a present." I stood up. Mi thung, glow that." He seemed to notice me for the first time. "Oh, right. Mark," he said, extending a hand. "Annie's father." The air was thick with tension. Sarah gently nudged Annie forward. "Annie, say hello." Annie mumbled a quiet, "Hello, sir," which only seemed to make Mark's expression sour. "I was hoping to take Annie out for lunch," Mark said. "Just the two of us. To catch up." Sarah started to refuse, but I gave a slight shake of my head. Legally, he had the right to unsupervised visitation. "Okay," Sarah relented, "but I want her back by 3. "No problem." Mark took Annie's hand. "Come on, sweetie. Daddy's going to take you somewhere fun." Annie looked back at her mom, her eyes wide. Sarah forced a smile. "Go on. Have a good time." The moment they were gone, Sarah collapsed into a chair and buried her face in her hands. "It's okay," I said, putting a hand on her shoulder. "It's only a few hours." "I know, but—" She looked up, her eyes swimming with tears. "I'm so scared." Chloe walked over and wrapped her little arms around Sarah. "Don't cry, Aunt Sarah. Annie will be back soon." I sent Chloe upstairs to play while I sat with Sarah in the quiet shop. "Is he going to be a good dad now?" Sarah whispered. "If he's really changed, am I wrong to try and stop him from seeing her?" "This isn't your fault," I said firmly. "He disappeared for 3 years. You have every right to be cautious. And being a good father is about more than buying a few toys." She looked at me. "Why do you think he's back now?" I thought for a moment. Maybe he really does miss her. Or maybe there's another reason. But whatever it is, your job is to protect Annie. If he's sincere, he'll prove it over time. The hours crawled by. Sarah was restless, pacing around the shop. I did my best to distract her, telling her funny stories about work, about Chloe when she was a baby, anything to lighten the mood. At 2:30, Mark brought Annie back. She was clutching a new doll, but she didn't look happy. "Mommy." She ran straight into Sarah's arms. "Did you have fun?" Sarah asked. Annie just shook her head. "I want to go home." Mark's face fell. "She's just a little shy. We just need more time together." "Sarah, we need to talk." Sarah asked me to take the girls upstairs while she and Mark talked in the shop. I could hear their raised voices, even through the floor. About half an hour later, Mark left, slamming the door behind him. When Sarah came upstairs, her eyes were red again. "He's threatening to sue me for full custody," she said, her voice hoarse. "He said my income is too unstable, that I can't provide a good life for her. He makes 6 figures. He said he can give her everything." I scowled. "He's trying to intimidate you. He gave me a week to think about it. If I don't agree, he'll see me in court." She hugged Annie tightly. "What am I going to do?" I was silent for a moment, thinking, "You get a lawyer. Sarah, you can't back down. This isn't about what's best for Annie. If it was, he wouldn't be doing this. But a lawyer will cost a fortune." "I have a friend from college, David Miller. He's a family lawyer. We can at least consult with him," I said. "Sarah, don't be scared. We'll figure this out. Together." She looked up at me, her eyes filled with a new emotion. "Ethan, why are you doing all of this for me?" Her question caught me off guard. Why was I? Because we were friends? Because our daughters were best friends? Or was it something more? "Because," I said slowly, "you deserve to be helped. And Annie deserves to be protected. Besides, we're friends, right?" She wiped her tears. "Thank you," she whispered. "Really, thank you." That night, I called David. He listened to the whole story and agreed to help. "I've seen this 100 times," he said over the phone. "A deadbeat dad shows up out of the blue demanding custody. There's usually something else going on. We need to find out why he wants her back now." I relayed the information to Sarah, and she seemed a little more at ease. David said he could meet next week. I told her, "Until then, don't agree to anything Mark says." "Okay," she nodded. On Sunday, I took both girls to the park to give Sarah a break. They ran across the grass, their laughter echoing in the clear air. "Daddy," Chloe asked suddenly, "is Annie's daddy a bad guy?" I crouched down to her level. "He's not a bad guy, sweetie, but he's not a good daddy. A good daddy stays with his kids. He doesn't just show up whenever he feels like it." "Like you, Daddy," she said, hugging me. "You never leave." A warmth spread through my chest. "That's right. I'm always here." Annie, who had been standing nearby, said quietly, "I wish I had a daddy like Chloe's daddy." The words were like a punch to the gut. I scooped her up into a hug. "Annie, no matter what happens, your mommy is always going to protect you. And I'm going to help, okay?" She nodded, burying her face in my shoulder. That night, I couldn't sleep. I thought about Sarah's tears, Annie's fear, Chloe's quiet wisdom. I thought about the past few months, about Sarah's smile, her cooking, the sound of her voice. I had to admit it. She was more than a friend to me now. More than just my daughter's friend's mom. But I couldn't say anything. Not now. She had enough to deal with. I couldn't add my own complicated feelings to the mix. I was distracted all day at work on Monday. My coworker nudged me. "Hayes, you've been leaving on the dot every day. What's going on? Got a new lady?" I just smiled and didn't answer. At lunch, I got a text from Sarah. Mark called again. He offered me money to give up custody. I replied immediately, "Ignore him. Wait until we talk to David." I know. It just makes me sick. How can he treat his own child like a transaction? This isn't about love, Sarah. It's about him proving a point or getting something he wants. I typed. "You have to be strong. For Annie." "I will be. Thanks, Ethan." I put my phone down and stared out the window. The sky was a brilliant blue, but I knew that for some people, it was a dark and stormy day. I wanted to protect her. I wanted to protect that brave, gentle woman and her sweet, shy daughter. The thought was so powerful it surprised me. After work, I went straight to the flower shop. Sarah looked surprised to see me. "What are you doing here?" "Just wanted to check on you," I said. "How are you holding up?" "Okay," she said with a weak smile. "Just tired. Don't cook tonight. I'll order something." "No, the girls need a proper meal," she insisted. "I'll just make something simple." I watched her turn back to her work, her shoulders slumped. "Sarah," I said suddenly, "whatever happens, you're not alone in this." She froze, then turned around, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Ethan," she whispered, "meeting you might be the luckiest thing that's happened to me in years." I took a step forward, my arms wanting to wrap around her, but I stopped myself, just placing a hand on her shoulder instead. "Me too," I said. The sound of the girls laughing drifted down from upstairs. The scent of food began to fill the kitchen. The setting sun cast a golden glow through the shop window. Maybe this, I thought, is what a family feels like, even if it was one piece together from two broken ones. The warmth was real. The caring was real. I didn't know what the future held. But for now, we were standing together, facing the storm. And that was enough. On Wednesday afternoon, I took time off work to go with Sarah to meet my lawyer friend, David Miller. His office was in a sleek downtown skyscraper. He was in his 40s, sharp and professional in a well-tailored suit. "I've reviewed the basics," David said, looking at the papers Sarah had brought. "The fact that Mark hasn't paid child support or seen the child in 3 years is a huge mark against him. The judge won't look favorably on that. However, his claim about your financial instability could be a problem." Sarah's hands tightened in her lap. "My income fluctuates, but it's more than enough to support me and Annie. I have savings. We're not destitute." "We'll need to prove that," David said. "Bank statements, tax records, business ledgers. Also, Annie's own preference will be a factor. She's 4, but the judge will still take her wishes into consideration." "She said she doesn't want to go with him," Sarah said. "That needs to be officially documented." David turned to me. "Ethan, as a close friend, you can provide a character witness statement about Sarah's parenting. Testimony from neighbors, teachers, other parents will also help." I nodded. "Whatever you need." The consultation lasted 2 hours. David walked us through every possible scenario and gave us a solid game plan. By the time we left, Sarah looked visibly relieved. "David said we have a very strong case," she told me in the car, "as long as I can get all the documents together." "That's great news," I said, holding the door for her. "Feeling better?" "Much." She buckled her seatbelt. "I just have to deal with Mark for a little while longer." "I'm with you," I said, starting the car. That Friday night, Mark showed up at the flower shop again. I was already there, playing a board game with the girls. "Sarah, we need to talk," he said, his face grim. Sarah sent me and the girls upstairs. This time, the argument was loud enough for me to hear every word. "You think bringing some new guy into the picture is going to help you?" Mark shouted. "Don't be ridiculous, Mark. You're the one who disappeared for 3 years." Sarah's voice was trembling, but firm. "And Ethan is just a friend. Don't you dare drag him into this." "A friend? A friend who's here every single day? A friend who's fighting your battles for you?" he sneered. "You've changed, Sarah. You used to be so sweet. Now you're all sharp edges." "You made me this way," she shot back. "If you really cared about Annie, you wouldn't be putting me through this. You could visit her, build a relationship with her, but you will never get custody." I heard the front door slam. I rushed downstairs to find Sarah standing alone in the shop, her whole body shaking. "Are you okay?" I asked, walking toward her. She turned, tears streaming down her face. "He said he's going to make me regret this." "Don't be scared." I resisted the urge to pull her into a hug. "You have David on your side. He can't touch you." That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She texted me late. "You awake?" "Yeah. What's up?" My mind is racing. "Can't sleep." I thought for a moment, then typed, "Go to your window and look at the stars." When I was a kid and I couldn't sleep, my mom would tell me to count the stars. It always worked. A few minutes later, a photo appeared on my screen, a patch of night sky with a few faint but visible stars. "I see them," she wrote. "It actually is helping." I smiled at my phone. "Good night, Sarah. Sweet dreams." "Good night, Ethan." Saturday was the preschool field day. Despite everything, Sarah put on a brave face for Annie's sake. The event was chaotic and fun. For the 3-legged race, Sarah and I were perfectly in sync, and we actually came in second place. "Daddy, you were awesome." "And Sarah, you were so fast." Chloe cheered, jumping up and down. Even Annie was shouting, "Go, Mommy, go." As we stood on the makeshift podium to receive our ribbons, we caught each other's eye and smiled. For a little while, the storm clouds seemed to part. Afterward, we took the girls for ice cream. Chloe and Annie shared a strawberry cone, getting it all over their faces. "Today was so nice," Sarah said. "It felt normal." "You're not that old, you know," I said. "You're only 30. I'm 33, and I feel like I've lived 100 years, she said with a wry smile. "Got married, had a baby, got divorced, started a business. It's been a roller coaster. But you're doing great," I said seriously. "Your shop is successful, Annie is happy and healthy, and you're one of the strongest people I know. A lot of people would kill for that." She stirred her melting ice cream. "Sometimes you're only strong because you have no other choice." "No, you always have a choice," I countered. "You could have given up. You could have compromised. You chose to fight. That's real strength." She looked up at me, a flicker of light in her eyes. "Ethan," she said softly, "you know, whenever I talk to you, you always make me feel like things aren't so bad." I smiled. Then I'm doing my job. On Monday, David called with a crucial piece of information. Mark was up for a major promotion at his company, and his boss was a big believer in family values. He's probably trying to craft a devoted father image to seal the deal, David explained. The company is choosing a new VP, and he's on the short list. Sarah was both furious and relieved. So, this isn't about Annie at all. It's about his career. This is our leverage, David said. How do you think his boss would feel if he knew the truth? And the fact that he hasn't seen her in 3 years doesn't exactly scream Father of the Year. I added. Exactly, David said. Sarah, I suggest you call him. Lay your cards on the table. Let him know that you know. Tell him if he doesn't want this to get messy, he'll drop the custody suit and settle for reasonable visitation. Sarah hesitated. Isn't that too aggressive? With a guy like this, you have to be, I said. You can't afford to be nice right now, Sarah. Think about Annie. At the mention of her daughter, her expression hardened. Okay, I'll do it. On Tuesday night, Sarah met Mark at a coffee shop. I insisted on driving her, but I waited in the car. Through the window, I watched them talk. At first, Mark was aggressive, leaning across the table. But as Sarah spoke, his posture changed. His face grew pale. Finally, he stood up, pointed a finger at her, and stormed out. I jumped out of the car and ran inside. How did it go? She was pale, but her eyes were steady. He admitted it. He said as long as I agree to regular, scheduled visits and don't make it difficult for him, he'll drop the custody suit. That's fantastic, I said, breathing a sigh of relief. But he has one condition. She looked at me. He wants me to promise not to tell his company. We can agree to that, but we need it in writing, I said. Have David draft an official agreement, with all the terms clearly laid out. 2 days later, the agreement was signed. Mark had officially relinquished his custody claim in exchange for bi-monthly, pre-scheduled visitation rights. And Sarah had promised her silence. As we left David's office, a huge weight seemed to lift from her shoulders. It's over, she whispered. Yeah, it's over. I looked at her. You were incredible. I couldn't have done it without you and David, she said. That's what friends are for. I checked the time. Let's celebrate. My treat. We took the girls to their favorite pizza place. They didn't know the details of what had been happening, but they could sense their mom's relief, and their mood was infectious. Mommy, you look so pretty today, Annie said. Sarah's eyes welled up. Thanks, sweetie. After pizza, I drove them back to the shop. At the door, Sarah said, Ethan, come up for a minute. I have something for you. Upstairs, Sarah sent the girls to play and retrieved a beautifully wrapped box from a closet. This is for you, she said. I opened it. Inside was an elegant fountain pen, my initials engraved on the side. This is to thank you for everything, she said, her voice full of emotion. I know a pen isn't enough to express how grateful I am, but it's a small token. I held the pen in my hand. It's beautiful. I love it. But Sarah, I didn't help you because I wanted something in return. I know, she whispered, and that just makes me more grateful. We stood there in her small living room, the silence comfortable between us. Ethan, she said, breaking the quiet, when my mom gets back, we probably won't be seeing each other every day. My heart sank. Why not? Well, you were only helping out because she was gone, she said, looking at the floor. Now that this is all over and she's coming back, I shouldn't keep bothering you. It's not a bother, I said, the words tumbling out. It's never a bother. Besides, Chloe loves Annie, and she loves you. We can still see each other. Go out on weekends, have dinner sometimes. She looked up, hope and uncertainty in her eyes. Really? You wouldn't feel like I'm intruding on your life? The opposite, I said, finding a surge of courage. Sarah, these past 2 months have been the happiest I've been in years. The happiest Chloe has been. My house is filled with laughter again. I took a breath. I like my life with you and Annie in it. Her eyes lit up. You do. You do. He nodded. So please, don't talk about being a bother. We're friends. We're partners in this. She smiled, a wave of relief washing over her face. Okay, then. It's a deal. Things stay the same. It's a deal. That night, back in my own empty house, it suddenly felt too quiet. I had gotten used to them being there, to the happy chaos. My phone buzzed. It was Sarah. Annie already misses Chloe. Can she come over after school tomorrow? I smiled and typed back, of course. I'll pick them both up. Come to my place for dinner. Okay, I'll bring groceries. I'll make those short ribs you like. I stared at the screen, a warmth spreading through me. Maybe this is what life is. Just when you least expect it, something wonderful happens. And it all started when my daughter walked through the door, holding the hand of a stranger. A stranger who brought the sunshine back into my life. That night, I sat in my study and used my new pen to write in a journal for the first time in years. Today, Sarah gave me a pen. She said it was a thank you gift, but I'm the one who should be thanking her. For coming into my life. For bringing the light back. Maybe this is what people call fate. The fate my daughter led me to. I closed the journal and looked out the window. Tomorrow was a new day, and our story was just beginning. The day before Sarah's mom came back, Sarah suggested we all have dinner together, as a thank you for my help. We'll eat at the shop. I'll cook, she offered. I brought Chloe over right on time. Her mom, a sweet, cheerful woman, was already there. She grabbed my hands and thanked me profusely. Sarah told me everything. I don't know what she would have done without you, she said, her eyes getting misty. A single mother, with no one to turn to. I can't thank you enough for being there for her. It was my pleasure, ma'am, I said, feeling a little awkward. Sarah has helped me, and Chloe just as much. Chloe piped up immediately to confirm. I love Annie's mom the most. Sarah was busy in the kitchen, with Annie acting as her little sous chef. Soon, the table was laden with food, sweet and sour ribs, steamed fish, garlic broccoli, and a hearty soup. Sarah, you're an amazing cook, I said with genuine admiration. She's always loved to cook, her mom said proudly. A shame her ex never appreciated it. There was a moment of awkward silence before Sarah cut in. Mom, let's not talk about that. Let's eat. Over dinner, her mom grilled me about my job, my hometown, my parents. I answered everything honestly, feeling like I was under some kind of friendly interrogation. She seemed pleased with my answers, nodding and saying, "Good, good." A steady, dependable man. After dinner, she insisted on taking the girls downstairs to play, leaving me and Sarah alone. I think my mom likes you, Sarah said as we did the dishes. You think so? I was worried she'd find me boring, I admitted. No, she likes quiet and steady, Sarah laughed. She said my ex talked too much and was full of hot air. I hesitated, then asked, Sarah, what are your plans? For the future. Keep the shop running. Raise Annie right, she said, rinsing the suds off her hands. Live a simple life. You. Pretty much the same. Work, watch Chloe grow up. I paused. But lately I've been thinking, maybe there's a different way to live. What do you mean? Like, spending more time on life and less on work, I explained. I used to think the most important thing was to make more money, to give Chloe the best of everything. But now I realize being there is what matters. Look at Chloe. She's so much happier these past few months because of you and Annie. Sarah dried her hands and leaned against the counter. Me too. I used to be obsessed with growing the business, making more money. But now, Annie's smile is worth more than anything. We looked at each other, and I saw the same realization in her eyes. Ethan, she said softly, what are we? The question caught me by surprise. Friends? We were more than that. Lovers? Not yet. I thought about it, then answered honestly. I don't know what the label is, but I know that being with you feels right. It feels comfortable. The kids are happy. And for now, that's enough, isn't it? Sarah smiled. Yeah, that's enough. We heard the girls laughing outside. We went to the window and saw them playing hopscotch under her mom's watchful eye, their shadows long in the setting sun. What a perfect picture, Sarah whispered. Yeah. I looked at her profile against the fading light. Sarah, what would you think if we tried? She turned, her eyes wide. Tried what? Dating, I said, my heart pounding. Officially, not as our kids' parents, but as a man and a woman. A blush crept up her neck. Are you sure? I have a kid, a past, a business that barely breaks even. I have a kid, a past, and a job that takes up too much of my life, I countered. We're just two normal, imperfect people, Sarah, but that's what makes us real. She was quiet for a long time. I need some time to think, she said finally. Of course, I said immediately. No pressure. Take all the time you need. That night, I tossed and turned, replaying the conversation in my head. Had I been too forward? Had I scared her off? My phone buzzed. It was Sarah. You still up? Yeah, I'm thinking about what you said, she wrote. I've thought about it too. I was just afraid you hadn't really thought it through. I typed back. These last few months, I've been happy. Chloe and Annie have been happy. I know it won't always be easy, Sarah, but I think together we could handle anything. It took her a long time to reply. Okay, let's try. For simple words that made my heart leap into my throat. I read them over and over, just to be sure. Really? I sent. Really? But let's take it slow, okay? And let's not tell the girls just yet. Okay, whatever you want. That night, I slept better than I had in years. I dreamed we were walking down a sunny street. Me and Sarah, holding hand with our two little girls. The next day was Saturday, and I took Chloe to the flower shop as usual. Everything was the same, but different. Sarah blushed when she saw me. Her mom, oblivious, greeted us warmly. Ethan, just in time. Come play a game of chess with me, she said, pulling out a board. Sarah's no good, and Annie's too young. I finally have a worthy opponent. I played chess with her mom while Sarah watched, occasionally bringing us tea. Chloe and Annie were upstairs, playing house. Checkmate, her mom declared. You let me win, didn't you? Not all. You're just that good, I said with a grin. She beamed. Such an honest boy. Sarah, you could learn a thing or two from him. Sarah just smiled. At lunchtime, her mom insisted on cooking and sent Sarah and me out to the supermarket with the kids. In the store, as we pushed the cart and the girls ran ahead, Sarah whispered, My mom really, really likes you. That's good, right? I whispered back, though it a lot of pressure. I don't want to disappoint her. You won't, she said, looking at me. Just be yourself. As we were checking out, Sarah casually picked up a bag of my favorite coffee beans and dropped it in the cart. It was a small gesture, but it meant the world to me. On the way back, the girls fell asleep. With me driving and Sarah in the passenger seat, the car was quiet. Ethan, she said suddenly, can I ask you something? Anything. Why me? She asked, looking out the window. I'm divorced. I have a kid. My job is unstable. I have a temper. I thought for a moment. Because you're real. You don't pretend to be something you're not. You're passionate about your life. You're patient with the kids. Your cooking is amazing, and your eyes crinkle when you smile. When I'm with you, I feel at peace. I paused. And the rest of it, the divorce, the kid, that's not who you are. That's just stuff that's happened to you. She turned to face me, her eyes glistening. Thank you for saying that. It's the truth, I said. Don't sell yourself short, Sarah. You're a wonderful person. You deserve to be loved. She wiped her eyes and smiled. What did you get so smooth? Just speaking from the heart. When we got back to the shop, the girls were still asleep. I parked the car and turned to Sarah. She was already looking at me, her gaze soft. Sarah, can I? I hesitated. Can I hold your hand? She reached out and placed her hand in mine. It was soft and cool. I squeezed it gently, my heart hammering in my chest. This is nice, she whispered. Slow is good. Yeah, slow is good. We sat like that for a few moments, just holding hands in the quiet car. We were only jolted back to reality by Chloe muttering in her sleep. We quickly let go. Come on, Sarah said, her cheeks flushed. My mom's probably wondering where we are. After that day, things shifted. We started exchanging longer glances. Our smiles held a different meaning. Our hands would brush against each other's by accident. But on the surface, everything was the same. On Wednesday night, Sarah was over at my place making dinner. After the kids were occupied, we were talking on the balcony. My ex called me again, she said suddenly. He wants to increase his visitation time. I frowned. But you have an agreement. He says it's unreasonable. David thinks he's not ready to give up yet. She sighed. Why can't he just let us live our lives? I gently took her hand. Don't worry. I'm here. She leaned her head on my shoulder. Sometimes I wish I could just freeze time right here. No past, no problems. We'll get there, I said. Everything's going to be okay. We stood there for a long time, just watching the city lights. Ethan, she whispered, when this is all really finally over, let's tell the kids. Okay, I said, a warmth spreading through me. And then, we'll take them on a vacation. Just the four of us. Where would we go? The beach. Chloe's always wanted to see the ocean. How about Annie? She'd love that, Sarah smiled. Okay, this summer, we'll go to the beach. We spent the rest of the night making plans for a future that suddenly felt very real. At 10, Sarah took Annie home. I walked them to their door, my heart full. When I got back, Chloe was still up, sitting on the couch with her teddy bear. Daddy, she said, her voice serious. Are you and Annie's mom dating? I was taken aback. What makes you say that? I saw you holding hands on the balcony, she said matter-of-factly. I sat down next to her. Well, what do you think, sweetie? Would that be okay with you? Yes, she said instantly. Then Annie would be my sister, and we could play together every day. But if I was with Annie's mom, it wouldn't just be the two of us anymore, I said gently. Would that make you sad? She shook her head. No, I love Annie's mom. She's like a real mom. And you smile a lot more now, Daddy. You're happier. I pulled her into a hug. You're the smartest kid I know. So, when are you getting married? She asked. I had a laugh. Whoa, slow down. We're just taking things one day at a time. You're perfect for each other, she said with all the confidence of a 4-year-old. Annie's mom is gentle, you're steady, and me and Annie are best friends. It's perfect. Her simple logic was both hilarious and deeply touching. Before I went to bed, I texted Sarah. Chloe knows. She saw us holding hands. Her reply was almost immediate. Annie asked me if you were going to be her new daddy. What did you say? I said you were a very good person, but we needed to take our time. I smiled. They're smarter than we give them credit for. Yeah, they are. Good night, Ethan. See you tomorrow. Good night, Sarah. I put my phone down, a sense of peace settling over me. Life is like a river. Sometimes it's calm, sometimes it's rough. But right now, I felt like I was drifting toward a warm, sunny shore. A shore with sunshine, sandy beaches, and the smile of the woman I was falling in love with. And it all started because my daughter brought home a stranger. Fate is a funny thing. On a warm weekend in early summer, I suggested a picnic. Sarah's mom volunteered to watch the shop, so we could have a proper family day out. We packed sandwiches, fruit, and some of Sarah's famous cookies. We found a shady spot under a big tree in a state park. It's so beautiful here, Sarah said, taking a deep breath. The girls immediately ran off to look at the ducks in the pond, leaving us alone on the blanket. Time flies, Sarah said quietly. It's been almost 3 months since we met. Feels like I've known you forever, I said. She smiled. Me too, like we were always supposed to meet. Sunlight dappled through the leaves. The only sound were the birds and the distant laughter of our daughters. Sarah, I said suddenly, I need to talk to you about something. What is it? I'm thinking of selling my house, I began. It's a bit far from the school. I want to find something closer, maybe a 3-bedroom. That way. I paused. That way, if you and Annie wanted to move in someday, there would be room. Sarah stared at me. You're talking about? I'm talking about the long term, I said, my voice serious. Sarah, I'm not just playing around here. I'm thinking about the future. Our future. I know it's fast, but I want you to know that I'm in this for real. I'm dating you with the intention of marriage. Her eyes filled with tears. Ethan, are you sure? We've only known each other for 3 months. Time doesn't matter, I said, taking her hand. Some people know each other their whole lives and never really connect. Some people know in an instant. I know what I want, Sarah. I want a warm, loving home, a partner I can count on, and happy, healthy kids. You've already given me all of that. A tear rolled down her cheek. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, I said, gently wiping her tear away. Just know that I'm here to stay. We can take it as slow as you need. Just then, the girls came running back. Daddy, Aunt Sarah, there are baby fish in the pond. Chloe yelled. Mommy, can we feed the ducks? Annie asked. Sarah quickly wiped her eyes. Okay, but only with the bread crusts. And not too much. As the girls ran off again, Sarah and I looked at each other and smiled. Nothing more needed to be said. After the picnic, we took the girls to a small amusement park. As they rode the carousel, I stood next to Sarah, taking pictures. They really look like sisters, she said, looking at a photo on my phone. They will be someday, I whispered. She looked up at me, her eyes shining. On the drive home, the girls fell asleep. With soft music playing, we talked in low voices. About the house, she said, you should start looking. I can help you if you want. I like that, I smiled. Your taste is better than mine. I don't know about that. Your house is very nice. That's the cleaning lady's taste, I confessed. She laughed. At least you're honest. By the time we got back, it was dark. Sarah's mom had dinner waiting. Did you have fun? She asked. It was the best day ever. Chloe answered for everyone. We fed ducks and rode a carousel. Annie nodded, and Mommy and Uncle Ethan took lots of pictures. Her mom looked from her daughter to me, a knowing smile on her face. After dinner, as I was leaving with Chloe, Sarah's mom saw us to the door. Ethan, she said, you come by more often, you hear? Sarah and Annie are very fond of you. Her directness made me blush. I will, ma'am. I promise. In the car, Chloe asked, Daddy, are we going to live with Annie and her mom someday? Would you like that? Yes, she said immediately. Then I can play with Annie every day. Then Daddy will work on it, I said. That night, I started seriously browsing real estate listings. I found a condo in a great complex just a 10-minute walk from the school. It had 3 bedrooms and a big balcony. I sent the link to Sarah. What do you think of this? A few minutes later, she replied, It's beautiful. The layout is great, but it's a little pricey. I did the math. If I sell my house, I'll have enough for the down payment. The mortgage will be tight, but manageable. Have you seen it in person? Not yet. I was going to go this weekend. Do you want to come with me? She hesitated. Is that okay? It's your house. I want your opinion. As a friend. Besides, you might be living there someday. Your vote counts. After a long pause, she replied, Okay, I'll come with you. That weekend, we left the girls with her mom and went to see the condo. It was perfect, bright, with south-facing windows in all the bedrooms. The balcony was huge. We could put a swing out here, I said, picturing it. The girls would love that. Sarah walked through the rooms, nodding. It's really nice. The master bedroom is big. The second bedroom is perfect for the girls, and you'd have a small office. If you like it, I'm putting in an offer, I said. She looked surprised. So soon? Don't you want to see other places? Nope. This is the one. I looked at her. I like it, you like it. That's all that matters. And just like that, it was decided. I'm a man of action. Within a week, the contract was signed. Sarah helped me plan the small renovations. The girls' room needed to be repainted, and we spent hours picking out furniture. They insisted on bunk beds. Just like at preschool. Chloe said, I get the top. I want the bottom, Annie said. I'm scared of heights. So we got a bunk bed, pink on the bottom for Annie, blue on the top for Chloe. We put glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. They're going to love this, Sarah said, looking at our handiwork. Couldn't have done it without you, I said. As the furniture arrived, it started to feel like a real home. A home for all of us. We moved in early October. By then, Sarah was spending more nights at my place than her own, though she always insisted on sleeping on the couch. On move-in day, we celebrated with pizza on the floor of our new living room. That night, her mom insisted on taking the girls so we could have a night to ourselves. We sat on the balcony of our new home, looking out at the city lights. The view is amazing, she said. Yeah. I took her hand. Sarah, about getting married. I want to get my shop on solid ground first, she said, turning to me. It's not that I don't want to marry you. It's that I want to come into this marriage as your equal. Right now, I still feel like I'm leaning on you. I want to stand next to you, not behind you. I understood. Okay, I'll wait. But you should know, I love you just as you are. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I know, but this is for me. By the end of the month, she'd found a new, larger location for her shop, just 2 blocks from our new place. She poured all her energy into it, and I was there every night after work, helping her paint and build shelves. The new Sarah's Blooms opened in November to a huge crowd of friends and neighbors. My coworkers all sent flowers, teasing me about when the wedding would be. Soon, I'd tell them with a grin. With the shop thriving, Sarah was finally ready. One night, after the kids were asleep, she was the one who brought it up. Ethan, she said, her voice serious, let's get married. I was stunned. What? I said, let's get married, she repeated, her eyes shining. I don't want to wait anymore. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to be a real family. My heart hammered in my chest. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. We didn't have a big wedding. We held a small ceremony in the backyard of her new shop, surrounded by flowers and our closest friends and family. Her mom cried. Chloe and Annie were our flower girls. When we exchanged rings, I said, Sarah, thank you for walking into my life. I promise to love and cherish you and our family for the rest of my days. Tears streamed down her face as she said, Ethan, thank you for loving me and for loving Annie as your own. I promise to stand by you always. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, we sat on our couch, finally alone. Tired? I asked. A little, but so happy, she said, leaning against me. This was the best day of my life. There will be many more happy days to come, I said, kissing her forehead. We sat in comfortable silence, just enjoying the moment. In just over 6 months, we had gone from strangers to a family. We had taken our 2 broken halves and made a beautiful whole. Ethan, she whispered, do you remember the day we met? Of course, I smiled. Chloe walked in, holding her hand, and said, Daddy, this is Annie's mom. I never could have imagined it would lead to this. Me neither, she said. I was just dropping off some cookies. I ended up with a whole new life. You ended up with a family, I corrected. Yes, she said, squeezing my hand. Our family. Outside, the moon was high in the sky. Inside, the lights were warm. From now on, we were a real family. There would be ups and downs, but we would face them together. Come on, I said, scooping her up into my arms. Time for bed. Okay, she said, wrapping her arms around my neck. Good night, husband. The words sent a shiver down my spine. Good night, wife, I replied. The lights went out. A new day was on the horizon. Our story was still just beginning. Life, after the wedding, settled into a comfortable, happy rhythm. Mornings were a whirlwind of getting the girls ready for school. After drop-off, we'd go to our respective jobs. In the afternoons, whoever finished first would pick up the girls. Weekends were for family adventures. Then about a year after our wedding, Sarah sat me down, a nervous look on her face. She handed me a little white stick. 2 pink lines. I stared at it, my mind blank for a second. You're pregnant. She nodded. A grin spread across my face. We're having a baby? I pulled her into a hug. This is amazing. Chloe was ecstatic. I'm going to be a big sister. Annie was more practical. Is it a boy or a girl? We don't know yet, sweetie, Sarah said. What do you want? A sister, Annie decided. I can teach her to draw. I want a brother, Chloe declared, so I can teach him to play soccer. Boy or girl, I said, pulling them all into a group hug. We'll love them just the same. The pregnancy was tough on Sarah. She had terrible morning sickness, and I did my best to take care of her, learning to cook all sorts of strange, bland food that she could keep down. Once the morning sickness passed, things got easier. The flower shop was doing well enough that she could hire a full-time manager and work from home. The ultrasound revealed we were having another girl. A house full of women, I joked. I'm going to be hopelessly outnumbered. Our daughter was born in the fall. We named her Nora. Chloe and Annie were instantly smitten, constantly peering in her bassinet, stroking her tiny fingers. Life with 3 kids was chaotic, loud, and wonderful. Our new home was filled with laughter, arguments over toys, and the sweet smell of baby powder. Sarah and I were a team, tag team diaper changes and school runs, finding moments of peace in the eye of the storm. When Nora was 2, Sarah found out she was pregnant again. This time it was a boy. A boy, I repeated, stunned. I'm having a son. We named him Leo. He was a whirlwind of energy, a little tornado who was adored by his 3 older sisters. Our family was complete. Chloe's 10th birthday party was a loud, happy affair, filled with kids from her soccer team. That night, after everyone was asleep, Sarah and I sat on the balcony, looking at the family portrait we'd had taken. 6 smiling faces looking out at us. Time flies, Sarah said. It's been 6 years since we got married. Feels like a lifetime, and like yesterday, all at once, I said, wrapping my arm around her. Ethan, she said quietly, do you remember the day we met? Like it was yesterday, I smiled. Chloe brought home a stranger, and that stranger turned out to be my whole world. I was just trying to be a good neighbor, she said, leaning her head on my shoulder. I ended up with a family, for kids, and the love of my life. It was fate, I said. The fate our daughter led us to. We sat in silence, watching the stars. Thank you, she whispered, for giving me this life, for making me so happy. I should be thanking you, I said, kissing the top of her head. Meeting you was the best thing that ever happened to me. The moon shone down on us, gentle and bright. It had been 8 years since that fateful day. 8 years of laughter and tears, of triumphs and struggles, of love. Our life wasn't a fairy tale. It was messy and complicated and sometimes exhausting, but it was real, and it was ours. We went inside and peeked into the kids' rooms. Chloe, on the cusp of being a teenager, still slept with her childhood teddy bear. Annie, our little artist, had fallen asleep with a sketchbook on her chest. Nora and Leo were curled up together, a tangle of limbs and blankets. Back in our own room, Sarah curled up against me. Sometimes I still feel like I'm dreaming. It's not a dream, I whispered, kissing her. It's real. Yes, she sighed contentedly. It's real. We fell asleep in each other's arms, just as we had every night for years. Tomorrow, the sun would rise, and our beautiful, chaotic life would begin again. And I wouldn't have it any other way. End.